Why aren't they familiar with the company policy? Huh? Why aren't they familiar with the company policy? Come on, tell me. Why aren't they familiar with the company policy? Why aren't they? Fijaos, yo digo aren't. Yo no digo aren't, como vosotros. Why aren't they? ¿Por qué no están familiarizados con la política de la compañía ya, a estas alturas? Why aren't they familiar? Familiar con. En español diríais familiarizados con, o conscientes de. But we'd say familiar. La palabra familiar en inglés no tiene nada que ver con familia. Si dices tengo problemas familiares en español, en inglés no decimos familiar problems. Eso sería problemas familiarizados. Suena raro. I have family problems. Ahora bien, familiar, escrito familiar, es familiarizado con. Why aren't they, or why aren't you, familiar with the company policy? Why aren't they familiar with the company policy? Política de actuación es policy.
Okay, welcome to today's class for intermediate. We're going to look at our example right now. Now, why aren't they familiar with the company policy? ¿Por qué no están al tanto de la política de empresa? So the first part is, again, the negative interrogative, que ya hemos visto en otras clases anteriores, ¿verdad? Hoy toca el to be, con plural. So, why aren't they? Okay? Entonces, ¿por qué no están or por qué no son? So, why aren't they? And do you remember cómo se forma? Do you remember how we create the negative interrogative? Muy fácil. Cogemos el interrogativo normal. Are they? ¿Verdad? Are they? Después convertimos el verbo en negativo. Aren't they? Okay, so aren't they? And the pronunciation aren't. Quedan una sílaba. Aren't. Aplastamos esa E. No es aren't ni aren't, okay? So aren't. So why aren't they at home? ¿Por qué no están en casa? Why aren't they ready? ¿Por qué no están preparados? Why aren't they in the office? ¿Por qué no están en la oficina? So why aren't they? So repeat, why aren't they ready? So keep repeating and keep practicing. Bye.
What? There's a problem. There's a problem on the south side of the park. Okay, well, Agent Smith? Agent Smith? What about Agent Smith? Well, why? Well, his team? Anyone? Is anyone there? Agent Smith or his team? Why aren't they there? Why aren't they in their positions? I don't understand. Why aren't they there? They have to do their responsibility. Oh, cuidado, en inglés nunca decimos why they aren't. No, ¿por qué no están o por qué no son? Es why aren't they. Es un error muy común. Repítelo con nosotros. Why aren't they? Why aren't they in their position? Why aren't they working? Why aren't they in the park? These are questions I want to know the answer to. Okay, let me call my team. Yeah. Yes, hello. I'm looking for O'Reilly and McNulty. Hello? O'Reilly? O'Reilly? McNulty? Oh, come on, why aren't they answering? O'Reilly! McNulty! Oh, why aren't they answering? Come on!
Welcome back. Let's look at the second part. Why aren't they familiar with the company policy? ¿Por qué no están al tanto de la política de empresa? So the second part is the expression to be familiar with something, right? To be familiar. Now, ojo, it's not familiar en el sentido de como de familia, okay? So, ojo, es un amigo falso en inglés. So, familiar es más bien estar al tanto de o estar familiarizado con algo, okay? Uy, familiarizado. Okay, complicado, ¿no? So, to be familiar with something. For example, I'm not familiar with this technology. No estoy al tanto de esta tecnología. Are you familiar with his method? ¿Estás al tanto de su método? They're very familiar with our products. They're very familiar with our guidelines. So, ¿qué significa guidelines? Es la palabra del día. Guidelines significa directrices. Okay, so they're very familiar with our guidelines. All right, so están muy familiarizados con nuestros directrices. Okay, so to be familiar with, again, estar al tanto de. So keep practicing.
Hello, friends. Estoy empezando una nueva etapa de mi vida. And for that reason, I want to learn some new fortune-telling techniques. Sí, algunas técnicas nuevas para predecir el futuro. So I have this book. Let's see what it says. Leer lenguas. Really? Well, it's interesting, but I'm not familiar with it. Hey, you at home, are you familiar with that technique? You're not familiar with it either? Oh, well, let's try another one. Leer el futuro según las formas que hacen la cera de una vela? Really? I'm not familiar with that technique either. I'm not familiar y no familiar. I'm not familiar with any of these techniques. Maybe I should write them a letter.
All right, we're already at the last part of our class, so let's take a look again. Why aren't they familiar with the company policy? ¿Por qué no están al tanto de la política de empresa? So the last part is the company policy. The company policy. La política de empresa. Now, ojo, pronunciation, right? Porque yo soy muy tiquismiquis con la pronunciación. Company. Company. Esa O suena como que, como una A. All right, company. No decimos company. Company, no. Company. Examples. Are you familiar with the company policy? Right? ¿Estás al tanto de la política de empresa? The company policy isn't complicated. Right? La política de empresa no es muy complicada. We have a strict company policy. Tenemos una política de empresa muy estricta. Please follow the company policy. Okay, so again, the company policy. So aren't they familiar with the company policy? Y después the negative interrogative, el interrogativo negativo, is why aren't they familiar with the company policy? Again, why aren't or aren't they? Why aren't they familiar with the company policy? And remember, la palabra del día is guidelines. Bye.
Hello. Yes, I would like to speak to the store manager. My name is April. It's company policy that when a customer phones, the store manager has to speak to them. Yes, it's company policy. You see, I'm very familiar with company policy. Very familiar with all the shop's company policy. Yes, I need to speak to him. It's company policy. Eso, decimos company policy. Es política de empresa, company policy. Repeat after me. Company policy. Oh, perfect. What? He's away on a business trip? But it's company policy. You know, it's also company policy to give a customer who's very upset a discount. Well, it's company policy. Well, I don't think you know company policy. I should be getting a discount.